I am happy to join you this morning for this auspicious summer commencement of the University of South Carolina. I am very grateful to Dr. Holderman and the members of his staff for their flexibility and cooperation in making my presence possible today. I'm also very grateful to my baby girl, Joy, who came into the world 3 weeks ago instead of today as planned, so that her daddy could come to South Carolina. Very sweet of her. I am pleased and very honored to accept this honorary degree bestowed upon me this morning. I feel that it is a very warm gesture, particularly coming from home. To go around the world 128 times at 17,500 miles per hour aboard the Rolls-Royce of spaceflight is one experience, but to come home amidst warmth and appreciation is an experience of equal magnitude. I shall eternally be grateful for this recognition. I'm sure Charles Bolden and Charles Duke would agree with me and tell you that the road between South Carolina and spaceflight is not a very simple one, nor is it one filled with guarantees. In fact, the only guarantees to be found are those that reside in the unchallenged depths of one's own determination. The true courage of spaceflight is not strapping into one's seat prior to liftoff. It is not sitting aboard 6 million pounds of fire and thunder as one rockets itself away from the planet. But the true courage comes in enduring, and as Colonel Bolden said, persevering the preparation and believing in oneself. I recall when I was a young student in Lake City, South Carolina, I had some difficulties with the bold business of confidence. See, I left South Carolina and went to North Carolina A&T, and I went there saying that I wanted to be a physics major. Now, I didn't know what it was, but I said I want to be a physics major anyway. Well, I showed up and they put me in a group with all the other physics majors from the big schools up north, New York, and Chicago, and Washington. And I heard all the guys talking about all of the great physics courses they'd taken. They'd taken these great courses in thermodynamics and classical mechanics and modern physics. And I knew that the only physics that I knew anything about was the theory of propagation of tobacco leaves. I see somebody else is familiar with that theorem. And I heard these guys talking about the great experiments that they had performed over the years. And I knew the only experiment I ever performed was mixing water with Kool-Aid. And almost blew it. So I figured physics was perhaps a bit more than I can chew. So I went over to the music department. I figured I can intimidate a few other folk over there, because I could blow that saxophone. Well, after a week in the music department, I decided, figured that perhaps I'm running away. It's no doubt I am running away without even giving it a try. You know, it really worked on me, it bothered me. So I went to the guidance counselor to see what advice she may be able to give me. Well, she gave me piles and piles of standardized tests. I took them for about 3 days. Finally, the test results were in, and I went back to talk to her to see what she had to say, and I sat across the desk, and she looked up at me, and she looked down at that pile of standardized tests. She kind of shook her head, looked back up at me, and she said, "I think you ought to go ahead and try physics, because I think you're good enough." Well, that's all I needed. Some authoritative figure, somebody to say, "You're good enough." Well, as I graduated from North Carolina A&T and went on to the Massachusetts Institute of Technology to begin work on my doctorate, and what turned out to be a prize fight, with each round lasting 1 year long, a 5-round prize fight. Well, I stepped into the ring, armed with the gloves of eagerness, cheered on by a great crowd of hope. When after 2 days into the first round, I was caught by a devastating uppercut from the entry qualifying exam. As I watched the birds around my head, I could still hear the voice of my guidance counselor saying, "Get up and fight because you're good enough." On the second round, I thought perhaps the first round was a fluke. I got up and moved in for the kill when out of nowhere came this tremendous right cross from the doctoral qualifying exam. Well, as I lay there with my back pinned to the canvas of defeat, wondering if I even wanted to get up or not, I heard from the sidelines a thesis supervisor saying, "I know where you're from, I know what you're made of, get up and fight because you're good enough." Well, in the third round, I began to move with finesse. I began to bob through classes and weave through exams. I opened up the fourth round with devastating jabs of knowledge. I followed through with tremendous crosses of hard work. By the end of the fifth round, that great giant lay stretched out across the canvas. I pulled off my gloves, walked across the ropes, grabbed my diploma, and I cried out, "I am better than enough." This is the message that I would like to leave in South Carolina this afternoon. You're better than enough. You may not come from the most well-to-do financial background. You may not come from the most affluent social background. You may not have glided through the University of South Carolina with the greatest of ease. But if you're willing to work hard, sacrifice, and struggle, then I proclaim today, you're better than enough. I think these graduates today have proven beyond the shadow of doubt that they are better than enough. Would you join me in giving them a big round of appreciation? And to the 1984 graduates of the University of South Carolina, I would like to say to you and caution you that when you walk through that door today, there will not be a great corps of buglers sounding a fanfare of your arrival. When you walk through that door today, the skies will not open up and illuminate you with rays of anointment from the heavens. But when you walk through that door today, when you leave this great Coliseum with diploma in hand, you will find that it's hot outside. And that your rear still aches. But as you move into the graduate schools, it'll start to get a little chilly. As you move into those jobs in industry, you'll find that the world will start to get quite frigid. Those of you that are headed for academia, as either on the elementary, secondary, or college level, as you move into those areas in an attempt to rectify the negative trends in education throughout our nation today, you'll find that the world can get downright icy. But do not let the world's adversity either stifle your enthusiasm nor blind your vision. But the struggle towards excellence must ever be conducted on the high planes of self-confidence, a sense of purpose, and positive thought. Go forth with the knowledge that you are better than enough. Go forth with a desire to accomplish, with a desire to contribute to our society. Go forth with a willingness to fight. Besides, after all, who knows more about fighting than a South Carolina gamecock? Thank you.